right. So, we're looking at us as the queendom, and I thought it'd be helpful to, I don't know, like say a little bit more about how did we get here? So, Deb, I know that you've got this healthcare background. It's amazing. And you've got the nursing background, and it shows up because how you occur for me is this very loving, caring person, and yet you're a force, like you're a force to be reckoned with. So, I have a vision of you in the healthcare space. You've got to be like knowledgeable and attentive and caring, but you also have to be like, this needs to get done. And I know you just kind of recently left the healthcare space and started something new. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
So it's ironic that you used the term force. I don't quite think about myself as
Oh,
in those terms, but I guess in some of the spaces where I've worked, as I reflect, maybe I've heard um hints of that before. So as you said, my entry into healthcare was nursing. I practiced as a registered nurse for many, many, many years. And but I had what I would call an evolving experience in healthcare. Entered in the healing arts as a nurse, but my educational pathway took me to look at healthcare from very from many different perspectives. So I have an undergrad in applied behavioral sciences, and I have a master's in human resource management and development. So I found my career in healthcare evolving from looking at the human body as the place of or the entity that needed healing, to really evolving into looking at the organization as this organic entity that could also I could use my passion around healing to support. And healthcare is often said that our mission is to heal the sick, help people to achieve and maintain wellness, especially when you're looking from the community and that preventative lens. But sometimes we can have the most unhealthy organizations. And so, as my career took me along the path of working in the space of continuous improvement and looking at how we can create high performing organization, my passion, very similarly to when on the clinical side, where it's like use the science so that we can take care of the people that we serve better, has slowly over a number of years switched to use the science so that we can create environments where people, thrive, where they feel psychologically safe, because there is lots of literature that has said when you create those kinds of environments, you do a better job of taking care of the people that we serve. And so, even though I no longer touch a patient on a daily basis, in my mind, I am creating or helping organizations to create better spaces where patients can be taken care of better. So indirectly, in my little mind, I still think that I'm taking care of people as I help to empower leaders who have the awesome responsibility and privilege of creating environments where people can just thrive and do their best work.
I think that's amazing. And one of the things I love about our Queendom collaboration and the community we're creating is you see you however you see you. But my words, as far as I'm concerned, my word is force of nature.
I think I'm like the gentle force of nature, because I like to think that as I interact with individuals, or as I interact, and then when I say individuals, at all levels of the organization, when I'm sitting and talking to CEO or a middle manager or someone who spends their day in direct contact in, any sort of service to others, is that I leave behind something
Mm.
that inspires them to step up a little bit higher. In my experience, as a vice president sitting around the table, I would hear what I often would tease my colleagues and say, we don't want to say yes, but, where we feel that we know what we should strive for, we know what best looks like, but we allow our limitations to make us feel like we can't do that now, or we can't do that ever. So our conversation pulls the group down instead of pushing the group forward. I had the amazing opportunity to work with an international organization, and when you travel the world, and literally I was lucky enough, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, South America, North America. When you get a chance to sit in some of those boardrooms and you hear people share stories over and over about how they broke through that thought of limitations, and then you see what they can create as examples of greatness, it always inspired me to say, what if we can take all of this energy and all of these amazing examples and teach other organizations that no leader has to say yes, but instead we can say yes, and how will we do it? So that's what inspires my work right now, to use things that I've been exposed to in the past, and then things that I learned from being in collaborative spaces, like with the Queendom, and inspire others to say, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. The people that we serve um, deserve us to realize that we can do that.
Amazing.
And Debbie, Debbie, for me, I loved what you were saying. I wanted to say, yes, a gentle tycoon.
Ah,
Right? Yeah, what I love about you being a part of the collaboration is the fact that you bring this ease and grace and this calmness, right? Like I said, it's a gentle tycoon where, like, oh yes, I know the winds are like going 5,000 miles, but okay, let's just all, like, we're calm, we're cool. I believe, when we're in a place to create a safe space, the other people around us, how you show up is then how we're going to show up in your space. And for me, you always create not just good advice from your background, but also like your being, and you create that grace and ease and like I said, that gentle tycoon energy. So thank you.
Thank you for that. If every space that I walk in, I leave what you've described, Dr. Rubina, that makes me feel like I've achieved something, because I feel that when we are in this space of calmness, where we feel possibility, where we feel certainty, that's when we do our best work. And so as a leader, I always felt, I know I didn't always do it perfectly, but I always felt it was my role to help people to feel that it's possible. We can do this. It's possible. And I think that people feel that better in spaces where that is more quiet and so chaotic, right? I don't think we find our space in chaos. I think we find our space when, in the calmness, and we've been using the expression hurricanes, right? Or tycoons, but there's always, even as it's roaring forward, there are spaces of absolute quietness. And so I think that's our purpose, is to, as leaders, and my workspace, my target group, I choose to work in that space. I had the opportunity to work of an organization of 100,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Lots of chaos around how that organization came to be. But then I realized that every single leader in that organization, how we chose to show up, impacted so many people, the people that
Right.
were part of the organization, but the rippling effect out into the community, from the suppliers that we dealt with, how people were impacted. So what did they take back to their families? What did they take back to their community? So I realized that, every leader who chooses me as their coach, so as I'm working with them one-to-one, sometimes when I'm sitting and looking at them through Zoom, right? Because I do lots of my work virtually, I can actually see the ripple impact when they are stronger, when they know where they're going, that ripples out into the community. And so I feel that's why for me, working with leaders is such a privilege, because again, I feel that not only am I helping that one person, or if I'm working with a group of leaders, not only am I helping, those 12 people in the room, or those 20 people in the room, we have the ability, when we change, when we're inspired, when the limitations are gone, and we say, yes, it's possible, ripples effect happens across communities.